Taurus, this is your week ahead astrology forecast by Astrology Motivation from Born Without Boundaries. In this video, we're going to go over the major planetary transits and aspects and how they impact your natal sun and what that means for your bottom line. We're going to start really broad with the big stuff that everybody should be aware of. And then we're going to focus down into the Taurus specific things. And then we're going to move into the decans. And the decan is a group of 10 degrees. Each zodiac sign has 3 of them because every zodiac sign has 30 degrees. And the decans help us to know what is impacting specific suns, specific groups of sun signs. Specific groups of suns in Taurus. So not every planet is going to be interacting the same with each of your suns. Just because you're a Taurus, it doesn't mean you're experiencing something the same way. So we're going to get a lot more specific here. You don't need to know exactly the degree on which your sun sits in Taurus. If you have a natal chart, you do already know. And that's definitely the most accurate way. But I'll be translating everything into sort of estimated birthday ranges, so you kind of sort of know who's going to be impacted the most. But the best way is, grab yourself a natal chart, because if you love astrology, like I'm assuming you do because you're here, your natal chart is something that it's where you start. It's exactly where you begin. So they're free, they're easy to get. Many websites do them. You just got to search free natal chart. You'll need your birth date, your birth time, and your birth location. Plug that information in, and it'll spit out a natal chart in a matter of seconds. So let's dive in. The big stuff. There are 2 major planetary transits this week. Gemini is going to get a transit. So we have Mercury transiting into Gemini from Taurus, and that happens on the 11th. Now, actually, both transits happen on the 11th, and they're connected to each other, and we're going to talk about that. So we have Mercury transiting into Gemini on June 11th. That's really fun and playful energy. I love Mercury and Gemini. I think it's very friendly. It's very conversational. It's very spread the word. What have you learned? Understanding what you've learned. It's very intellectual and conversational and friendly. It's playful. It can be a little bit of a gossip as well, but we're going to get into why that's actually significant, because the other transit is Pluto, and Pluto is retrograding back into Capricorn on the 11th. It will do that, I think, it will do that before it settles into Aquarius for like over a decade. So right now it's not moving much, because it doesn't move much and it doesn't move fast. It doesn't move fast. But it won't, how does that change? So it's really not changing its location much, I guess is what I'm saying. But because it's back in Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn is all about restructuring or upheavals in our corporate space, our laws, our rules, our regulations, and our kind of foundations, or what we consider to be the right way to do things. So it can get pretty militant in Capricorn. It's going back in retrograde on the 11th. Now here's the connection. So we have Pluto retrograding back into Capricorn, and then we have Mercury heading direct into Gemini. They're trine while this happens. I'm like seeing this in my head in the chart and trying to draw it out for you. So the 2 of them are trine while this happens, and they'll be trine all week. What is the relationship between Pluto and Mercury? In one word, investigation. It's diving deep down to understand the subliminal, or the subtext, or what has intentionally been hidden when you're dealing with Pluto. So ultimately, there is some discoveries being made about things that people wanted to hide. Considering this is going back into Capricorn, that could be some big upheavals, and especially because Mercury is now in Gemini, there is this sense of distributing the information, of word getting out about what has been discovered. So I'm kind of waiting to see how that plays out, but I think it should be an interesting week, is all I'm saying. This week, Venus is also in opposition to Pluto. What does that mean? That there is a major strain and major upheavals, a major change, dramatic, dynamic, and excessive change when it comes to Venus stuff like finances, value, and sensory pleasures. What it is that really, gets you going, what you're attracted to. Now, considering that it is an opposition to Pluto and that there's a trine to Mercury, this could be some seedy stuff coming out with regards to people's sex lives or their financial, the money they tried to hide in the mattress. Do you know what I'm saying? So, I gotta say, big stuff. I think big stuff. Venus is also square to Jupiter, which means major excess and overindulgence. And I think that that's really what's going to be sort of on blast this week in a global scale. Another more peaceful interaction is Mars and Chiron are trying to each other this week. And I love this energy because it means a major healing, especially physical healing, in terms of taking action based, it's taking action based on the worst, what could happen if you don't. It's based on the shitty experiences you've had in the past. So trying to harmonize them, make up for them, or clean them up, or heal from them. So I kind of love that undertone that's going on simultaneously with this other stuff. Now, we have your ruling dignitary, Venus. Venus is still in Leo, and she's moving between 3 and 8. I'm reading off of that. I always have my notes, guys. You know that. So Venus is in Leo, and she's transiting between 3 and 8 degrees Leo. Okay, so she's in the first decan of Leo. She can be very egotistical, but very charismatic, but very, hey, look at me, when she is in Leo. She is square to Jupiter, in opposition to Pluto, and trine to Neptune in a loose conjunction with Mars. Loose conjunction with Mars. So, what does that mean? It means she's hitting all the big guys. It means she's hitting all the major players. It means it's definitely time for a change, and maybe even for her to surprise herself. She's very whimsical. She's very sweet. She's very romantic when she's trying to Neptune, but at the same time, there's excess here because she's square to Jupiter, and there's major destruction and upheaval because she's in opposition to Pluto. So, let's see how she interacts with your natal suns. Taurus. In the sign of Taurus, what is happening? Well, you still have Jupiter that's moving between 5 and 6 degrees this week, so it's still in the first decan of Taurus, which is definitely going to impact a certain group of you, right? You know who you are. And then we have Uranus holding steady at 20 degrees Taurus, and then we have Mercury through the 11th, moving between 26 and 29 degrees Taurus, which is the third decan of Taurus, because it's going to move out into Gemini. So we have still a lot of activity in Taurus. Let's talk about how and who this affects amongst you. Taurus ones. If your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees Taurus, your natal sun falls in the first decan of Taurus, and you are Taurus 1. The correlating birthdays are pretty much April Tauruses. So any Taurus born around April 22nd through sort of the 31st, that's you guys. You are May Tauruses, and you're definitely Aries cusps. Your natal suns are still, and they have been, conjunct Jupiter and conjunct the North Node. So you are future focused, amping up expansion and growth into your future, or expansion and growth of your future, like what your future is even possibly capable of, which is wonderful. But there is a square to Venus this week. So there could be some challenges when it comes to overindulging. Since Jupiter is there conjunct, there's a sense of watch out for the excessiveness, watch out for the overindulgences, and really having to confront where you have lived in excess or overindulged. It is not a great time to do your hair. It is not a great time to change your look, change your aesthetic, or sign any major contract, because you'll be reaching way farther than you could probably keep up with, and you want to let that dust settle before you make any big financial decisions, purchases, or aesthetic changes. There's also this sense of could be tension or stress when it comes to your relationships. Just an FYI. If you are at the cusp, the very cusp. So that would be around April, say April 22nd, maybe April 23rd, your birthday is. You are still square to Pluto and sextile to Saturn. Actually, all of you are sextile to Saturn. The cusps are still square to Pluto, and you will be. You will still be square to Pluto, even though Pluto has moved back in, or when Pluto moves back into Capricorn. The degrees is what's really making the difference, okay? So your natal suns are still square to Pluto, which means there's still major change. There's still sort of challenges with that change, and there's still a sense of you that is rubbing people wrong because you're kind of relentlessly pursuing things, and it could irritate, it could intimidate people. It's not a bad thing. It means you can absolutely get things done. But like I'm just going to remind you, relentless, yes. Ruthless, no. Stay away from ruthlessness. Stay away from doing what you want to do at any cost, despite who you hurt or harm in the process. You want to stay away from that. Relentless is I'm not going to give up no matter how bad things get. That can actually be a good thing, right? As long as you don't break you. Now, also this week and for the next year, you are sextile to Saturn. Saturn is actually slowing down this week. It's posted stationary. So if you're starting to see a slowdown or some sort of retrospective when it comes to opportunities or just stabilization in your career, it is because by next week, Saturn will be in retrograde. But your natal suns are still sextile to Saturn, which means there are still openings and potential and possibility and growth when it comes to your career. All right, let's move on to Decan 2 or Taurus 2s. Your birthdays are probably April 2nd through April 10th. Around there. No, May. I'm sorry. May. It's May. It's May 2nd through May 10th. In and around there. Those are Taurus 2s. If your natal sun is between 10 and 19 degrees Taurus, your natal sun is located in the second decan of Taurus. If your birthdays are more between, say, May 8th through 10th, you are already conjunct to Uranus. Even though Uranus technically is in the beginning of the third decan, it doesn't matter. You're so close to the third decan that your natal suns are already going to be conjunct to Uranus. What does that mean? That means change. That means surprising yourself. It means surprising yourself and finding oddities and just growing and expanding by being peculiar and being the natural rebel. Feeling like you have to incite change around you and in your life, or be different than you have been. This natural rebelliousness will be all about you for the next year or so. Just to let you know, this week in particular, your natal suns are square to Mars. Square to Mars with a natal sun means please don't push yourself when it comes to your physicality because injuries are more likely. It also means that you could be more pugilistic and pop offish. You will have higher energy level. No. You may feel that your energy levels are stifled or that there's always something coming up against it. And that could be very frustrating and irritating energy. The best thing to do this week then is count to 10 before you respond to anybody, or inhale, exhale before you make a response, before you write anything. Don't let yourself just fly off at the handle in any capacity because that could really end up causing you a lot of trouble. Just an FYI. Taurus 3s. So if your natal suns are in the last, say, 10 days of Taurus or between the 11th, May 11th and the 21st, you are Taurus 3s. Your natal suns, especially around the 11th, 12th, your natal suns are already conjunct to Uranus. You have been conjunct to Uranus, and that means same thing for Taurus, the end of Taurus 2s, this sense of surprising yourself, doing things differently, feeling like a natural rebellion or feeling like you have to champion a cause of some sort. All of those things for the next year are going to be impacting your natal sun. It's not about look out for curveballs. It's you become the curveball in the room. You will be the one that wants to or is looking to surprise everyone. Also very clever and very ingenuitive energy. So really intellectual and could help you make a lot of awesome breakthroughs. Through the 11th. If you're at the cusp, so if you're at the Taurus Gemini cusp, It's all week long. But for the rest of you, it's up through the 11th. You are also going to be conjunct Mercury. If you're at the cusp, even when Mercury transits into Gemini, your natal suns are still going to be conjunct it. So all week long. What does conjunct Mercury mean? Conjunct Mercury means clever, fast thinking, quick-witted. Your words are yours. Your intellect is yours. You just have a natural connection and fluency when it comes to logic and pragmatism and communication. This is a really wonderful thing for you to use. Like, take the opportunities that this could open up for you. You'll be very, very articulate, especially when it comes to words, spoken or written. You have a long-term sextile to Neptune, and with Mercury conjuncting your sun right now, that's almost perfect, because there's a sense of you really being able to communicate and articulate something exceptionally creative that other people didn't think of. So this is a fantastically creative and imaginative time, but you can actually tangibly do something with that imagination, and opportunities very much could open up for you this week because of that. We also have, if you're at the cusp, if you're at the Gemini Taurus cusp, a trine to Pluto. So say May 20th, 21st, it's you guys that are at the cusp, and your natal suns are going to be trine to Pluto. This is a metamorphic time for you, a time when your butterfly wings are going to sprout and you emerge from the cocoon. Don't even be surprised at what you're becoming. This is definitely a level up period. It's your next chapter kind of energy, and it stays with you for a couple of years. So, and it's been already impacting you for a couple of years. So don't be surprised if there are major life changes that are happening to you, but ones that help you, ones that heal you, and ones that harmonize your life, because there is that trine. You let me know in the comments below how you've been feeling this energy for the past couple of years, or what's happening to you this week. And please remember to subscribe to Astrology Motivation, and let us reach 10,000 by the end of the summer. I know that we can do it, because I don't think summer is even officially begun yet, right? So we have time. And then come on over to Born Without Boundaries Tarot for your weekly tarot card reading. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye, Taurus.